Perfect, perfect. Good morning, everyone. Oh, wait, I can't see everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome in.
Good
So
morning.
all of y'all are here. Good morning. Who said that?
I'm Adoma.
Good morning, Amaduma. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good.
Looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for getting up this morning to be in community with us and to learn and share your knowledge this morning. We are talking about sex positivity. We're going to be breaking down a buzzword and making it accessible for everyone here so that you can go and talk to your 8-year-old family members, your 80-year-old family members, and explain to them what this term means and how it applies to their life. So I'm super excited for y'all to be here. If you want to just take a minute, grab your coffee, grab a glass of water, whatever you need to feel grounded this morning and help you sort of wake up and absorb this information and wake up and absorb this conversation and participate. We're going to get started in just about 2 minutes here. You have a minute or two to gather yourself. If you want to take some notes, open the notes app in your phone, grab your journal, grab your pen, because things always fall out in these conversations that we want to remember, right? Just so you have that so that you don't forget anything that's discussed that you think is applicable to your life and you want to carry with you after this conversation is done. Let me introduce myself. I just started talking. My name is Portia. For those of you who do not know, I'm going to be leading the discussion today, but I'm excited for you all to participate. And I did get a chance to see Shawnee's conversation on Monday, and I'm going to tear a page out of her book. If you are willing this morning, please turn your camera on. I think what Shawnee said on Monday was very powerful. A lot of times when we talk about sex, there's a lot of shame. There's a little bit of hiding that may happen. So if you're willing, if you're able, I don't care if you're in bed, your hair might be wrapped up, wherever you are, if you feel comfortable, turn your camera on so you can participate in the discussion. I'm seeing a lot of new names. I would love to see a face to some of them. If you feel comfortable, you can flip it on and off as you need. But it would be nice to see some of y'all this morning too.
Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. We're healing, we're dealing, we're growing. Together, together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, together, we're learning, discerning. We're striving. Together, together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together, together.
Beautiful. Let's jump right in and go ahead and get started. The title of this discussion is Sex Positivity, what it is not, and who it is for. We can go to the next slide. Perfect. So let me just further introduce myself. My name is Portia Brown. I am a sex educator and coach. I am based in Brooklyn, New York. I typically work with women and femmes of color. I offer one-on-one coaching where I serve as a guide for folks who are on a sexual self-discovery journey, on the path to sexual liberation, however you want to phrase this continuous journey that we all are hopefully on or looking to begin. I also lead a lot of conversations and workshops just like the one that we are having this morning, both virtual and in person. So that's a little bit about me. Next slide, please. So why this particular discussion and why today? At the beginning of this year, I was trying to think of a theme for this year and the things that I wanted to share. And I really was feeling like Sex Ed 101, back to the basics. Sex positivity is a very simple concept that is often misunderstood. So I felt led to break that down and share more on a granular level and a simple level what that is all about, so that it's something that no one has to feel intimidated by. It's terminology nobody has to feel like they don't quite understand how to explain, because it is something that we all need to explain. We know that pleasure is a measure of freedom. Pleasure is our divine right, and sexual liberation is intricately tied to our overall liberation, which that could be a whole discussion in and of itself. We can hop over to the next slide. So when I think back to the basics, I think I want to talk about where are some of the first places I learned about sex and sexuality, and I saw it. And of course, we know that media is one of the places that teaches us about sex and sexuality. So I'm curious, for all of you listening, can you drop in the chat the name of a TV show or a movie that you feel like was one of your earlier memories about sex and sexuality? The show didn't have to be about sex, but taught you about sex. So for me, I'll be 29 next month. So as a young person, I grew up watching Girlfriends, and there was a lot of sex in that show because it was about a bunch of late 20s, early 30s women who were single. And I remember watching and being like, wow, is my life going to be like that? Like, is my sex life going to be like that? Am I going to face those same challenges? I see in the comments some people are saying Dirty Dancing. Dirty Dancing was definitely a film where I learned about sex and some of the fears and dangers and consequences of sex. Our Bodies, Ourselves, that book. Yes, books are also very important. Is there anyone on Facebook land that is commenting some of their shows?
No, they have not yet, but I'm quite sure they will. But I can represent for Facebook. Mine was the oh my God, True to the Game. It was a book called True to the Game.
What was it about? Do you remember? Like,
Pure sex, pure sex.
was it like, Zane? Does anybody remember the Zane series?
Yes, it's almost like a Zane Chronicles. So it was about, people in the hood, drugs, and sex was a big part of it. Very descriptive.
Would you say that, based on your understanding, before we even get into the definition or my explanation, would you say that that book was sex positive or more so sex negative? Was it affirming of sex and sexuality, or was it something that was sexuality?
It was both, actually. It was both. It had sex in a positive way, but it also had sex being used as in a demonizing way, and in the form as a weapon.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Thank you for sharing. So we've got a couple more. Yes, someone mentioned the Zane books. I'm curious if anyone who read those books can talk with me about them, because I'm curious what people's perspectives are now that there's been some time between when we would have read those books and now, and how our experiences might have led us to form a different opinion about them.
I'll start the conversation or warm us up. to it, and then we'll see who else in the community wants to share. But I know, being young, having had the experiences that I had, as I mentioned in my presentation, of sexual wounding and trauma, those books reinforced a low vibrational belief system about what sex was, especially for me as a woman. And it also programmed my brain for certain levels of stimulation. And some of that stimulation did not serve me. It reinforced that sex is by force, that women are objects. And I didn't know that then, but it kind of melded with my logic and illogic at the same time. So yeah, I was definitely, it created a pattern for me, and a pattern that created stimulation, unfortunately, in ways that did not serve me and didn't big up women.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Shawnee. Thank you. I love that, which leads me to one of the points that I wanted to make today. I often say, and a lot of sex educators will say, that overall, at least in North America, our culture is not necessarily sex positive. And when we look at the books, the movies, the television shows, we see sex everywhere. So when I say that, people are a little bit confused. It's like sex is on billboards in Times Square. How are we not sex positive? Because the representation of sex and the viewpoint that media presents of sex is not necessarily a positive one. So sex just being there is not necessarily affirmation of sex, and it's not necessarily a positive representation of sex that makes us understand sex in a way that is beneficial to us in our lives. Like Shawnee is saying, a lot of the representations that were in Zane, that were on Girlfriends, will teach us things that are not necessarily good things for us to hold on to, right? They may be things that reinforce negative things that have happened to us, reinforce fears and feelings of danger around sex and sexuality, rather than teaching us to embrace that sex is important, healthy, and good, right? Which is a more sex positive mindset. Can we hop back over to the slides? Beautiful. We can go to the next one. So before we can really chat about what sex positivity is, we should really break down a little bit about what sex negativity is. And there's probably an idea in our minds of what these two terms mean just based on what we know about the words, right? But sex negativity is the belief that sex is bad, dangerous. I don't know about you, but I definitely grew up as a young Black girl in a household that made me feel like any form of sexual expression was going to bring me danger, even if the person I was expressing my sexuality with or toward was myself. Who can relate to that, right? I'm sure many of us can, right? Being caught masturbating, being caught looking at porn, or even thinking about sex was something that was immediately looked at as there's all sorts of dangers, there's all sorts of negative things that can come of this. And so I absorbed that, right? As many of us have. I absorbed that and thought that was the way that sex truly was. And that was the way that I would perceive sex for the rest of my life. Sex negativity also teaches us that in order to avoid these dangers, there are all sorts of arbitrary rules, right? So, for example, if you're going to have sex, you need to be married, you need to be a certain age, you need to be heterosexual, and it needs to be for procreation, right? Those are the ways that you avoid the dangers of sex, right? Instead of a more positive outlook. And that reinforces things like ageism, horophobia, a lot of different ambiguous mindsets around sex give us a sex negative mindset as opposed to a sex positive mindset, right? At the beginning of this discussion, I did say that pleasure is a measure of freedom, right? I believe that pleasure is our natural state, and not just sex, not just sexual pleasure, but all forms of pleasure, right? because it took someone's pleasure for us to get here. So it is our natural state to be in a state of joy and pleasure. And the ultimate pleasure is often tied to sex. So it is important that we embrace a more sex positive mindset. I do see a couple of comments over here. Someone says, Purple Norris says, I received it's dangerous or you will get pregnant at home. My aunts were pretty expressive when I was when I was at both grandmother's home. Yes, that was something that even from a young age, even before I was able to conceive or get pregnant, that was told to me that there's a focus on unwanted pregnancy, a focus on STIs, on emotional damage, instead of focusing more on the positive attributes of sex, right? It's healthy for us. It is something that is good for our physical, mental, and emotional health. It is an important part of our lives and being a well-rounded human being, right? Jacqueline Davis says sex was behind closed doors. Yes, it's always this thing where everyone is here because they want to talk about sex, right? But it's this thing that we're supposed to only do behind closed doors with a particular type of partner during a certain part of our lives, right? We're not supposed to really talk about sex once we reach a certain age or before we reach a certain age. We're not really supposed to talk about sex unless we are married and trying to conceive. So coming off mute, I think.
Yes, I'm going to ask that everybody mute. Laura, you're unmuted.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Go ahead, Portia.
Sure. Yeah, so as I was saying, it's something that is supposed to happen behind closed doors. And these are things that are normalized, but it's also a result of a sex negative culture. Are we getting any comments in Facebook yet or not just yet? It's still kind of early on in the discussion.
Facebook is saying not for girls. This was from Sienna Robinson. Another comment that she also has is that it is hypersexual. And yes, unconsciously. And a lot of them refer to books that taught them about sex, like romance novels, no TV shows, but romance novels. And one actually said that she read a book, What Really Happens, and the book taught her about biology. He taught biology and math. At the age of 9, my father, oh, this is from Jem, I'm sorry. At the age of 9, my father gave me a book entitled What Really Happens. He taught me biology and math. So I don't know how that's related to sex, but I would definitely ask her.
Well, what I received from that, it sounds like a book that was maybe about the human biology, right? Perhaps, or about the way our bodies actually work, right? Because we know another result of sex negative culture and sex negative mindsets is a lot of mystery about what is really happening in our bodies, particularly for people with vulvas, for women, right? Someone said not for girls. That's always a running theme, right? That sex and sexuality and sexual expression is not acceptable if you don't live in a certain body, particularly if you are not a male. And if you are a woman, or if you are a person that reproduces, it's only acceptable if you are a person that is planning to get pregnant, who is planning to reproduce at some point, and you are married, right? So again, all of these rules are supposed to protect us from the dangers of sex, when in reality, they just result in us not understanding about our bodies, not knowing how to relate to people, being fearful, and most importantly, not enjoying the full expression of our sexual selves, right? There's a lot of emphasis around soul ties, STIs, unwanted pregnancy, things like that, instead of focusing on how important sex is to our overall health and all of the things that we're trying to avoid.
Beautiful. And we just got a comment from a male in this space, Michael Ilam. Early sexual education for girls, don't do it. Early sexual education for boys, in some cases, get as much as you can.
Yeah, so the idea, and a lot of that sexual education that comes for boys is not accurate, right? A lot of the sex education that comes in for men is um, not inclusive of pleasure for the person that they are with. And it's not inclusive of understanding of the female body. It's not inclusive of emotional expression. It's not a whole perspective. A lot of times I say, we expect people to not think about sex, especially if you're a part of an organized church. And this is not me bashing organized churches at all, but this is my experience, right? It's don't think about sex until you are married, and then get married and that night figure it out, right? And you're supposed to be led by your husband or whatever person you choose to marry, and that's it. And no one ever explains to you what is actually supposed to happen and what kind of things and challenges you may encounter, right? So ultimately what we're saying is this is sort of a system that leads to limiting beliefs. And when we have limiting beliefs in our sex lives and as our sexual selves, we of course have limiting beliefs in other areas of our lives, right? For me, this is why I became a sex educator and sex coach, because I truly believe if you have a sex negative mindset as opposed to a sex positive mindset, you likely are repeating some of the patterns and challenges that you are having in your sex life in other areas of your life. If you cannot advocate for yourself in sexual situations, you probably trip up a little bit in your platonic relationships, in work situations, et cetera, right? Can we hop back to the slides? I had one more question that I wanted to pose to the audience.
Sure. Portia, I just want to let you know it's 7:22
Okay.
and there were a few more comments in Zoom. Did you want to hear a few of those before you move to your next question?
Yes,
Okay.
can you please?
Okay, beautiful. So one of the shares was there was a sex negative mindset that was reinforced repeatedly at home, school, and in church. Another says that we teach our kids to wait because we don't think that they're old enough to handle the emotions that come from sex. There's further comments in the chat about the notion or the belief that good girls do not think or act like that. Um, and then finally, there's a comment from someone, actually Shawnee dropped in the chat that this very issue came up in the Netflix series called Bridgerton. And you're nodding, so maybe you want to share with that for those of us that did not see it. She goes on to say, when the main character Daphne asked her mother about what to expect on her wedding night, her mother told her about animals instead of speaking to her directly about human needs, wants, and possible experiences.
Yes.
So I will.
Yeah, I'll address those, and then we can begin to sort of wrap up if community is cool with us taking an extra 5 or so minutes. So what Shawnee's referencing is a major sex education fail, right? I don't want to give anything away, but essentially someone experienced a negative or an unwanted or unplanned situation because of a sex education fail, because someone was not brave enough to be direct and to be honest and to tell the truth about what really happens during sex, even when her daughter was about to get married, even when she was in the situation when she was supposed to have sex, right? All because, again, it's the behind closed doors thing. It's the good girls don't think about sex, don't act on their sexual desires. It's mothers, parents thinking that their children can never be sexual beings, right? When in reality, and this is something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I'm not a mother, so I don't know how I would feel, but we understand that we are sexual beings from the time we come out of the womb, right? Children have sexual desires, they have sexual feelings, and it is normal. And it's not something that is harmful to them or anyone around them unless we don't explain to them how to manage those feelings and those emotions. Thank you so much, Nisha, for bringing those up, because those are all really good points. So I'm curious, and for everyone here, drop in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how sex positive do you think that you are? How much of these ideas do you think you've begun to shed? And this is just a moment for us to reflect on some of the sex negative things that we've been told. They're not, to no fault of our own. It's the society that we live in. I would rate myself at about a 6.5 or a 7 on a good day, because I still have a long way to go on my journey to shedding some of the mindset issues that I have, even as a sex educator, even as a sex coach, even as someone who's been doing this for about 5 years. I still have a long way to go and a lot of work to do. I'm seeing some 8s, some 3s, some 7.5, lots of 7s, lots of 7s. Y'all must be really putting in work and journaling and reading. That's awesome. A 6, a 5, 8, worked a lot on myself and taught my children. Yes, that is the point. That's the point that we all want to get to, where we can begin to share this information with those that are coming after us, so that they don't have as much work to do for themselves to uncover who they truly are as sexual beings and to be more comfortable with sex and sexuality. My goal as a sex educator is to make talking about sex as common as talking about sports, as talking about restaurants, as common as talking about TV shows on Netflix, because we do need to reach that level of comfortability to truly be in a more sex positive mindset and more sex positive society. Yes, so much is subconscious. Thank you for saying this. A lot of these things are so insidious that we don't even realize the way that we feel when we look at certain people, certain situations is sex negative, because it's ingrained in our society. But that's okay. We don't need to judge ourselves. We can have grace with ourselves, and we can say, I am still unlearning and relearning, and this is an opportunity for me to grow and change. From Facebook, how do you turn negative sex into positive sex when you've had negative trauma like molestation as a child, right? So this is something that is extremely unfortunate and extremely common. However, I think we have to shift our mind to realize there's a difference between violences that have happened to us and sex that is affirming and positive and healing, right? Yeah, you have to make a separation in your mind first and foremost between those two things. It takes a lot of time to heal, whatever that means for you. That can be therapy, that can be more discussions like this, that can be sharing, that can be whatever healing looks like for you, truth and reconciliation between you and that person. I can't tell you how to heal. For me, it's been trial and error and seeking out different modalities to heal myself, and of course healing is not linear. There's no end destination. It's something that we do over the course of our lives, and being honest with yourself and not forcing yourself, right? If you are a person that is carrying a trauma like that, there is no need to feel like you need to force yourself, or I'm less than because I don't feel as sex positive, or I don't feel as comfortable with sex yet. Meet yourself where you are. You're absolutely okay to be wherever you are. I hope that is helpful. Okay, so it is almost 7:30. I'd like to begin to wrap up so we can go to the next slide. Yes, we do need a full wake up everybody session on this conversation. I love that. So if you are a person that would like to work with me, I am offering $10 off a 60-minute one-on-one call with me. I do offer one-on-one coaching. So all you have to do is email me with the headline or the subject, Wake Up Everybody, by a week from today, so January 27th. And you will receive a discount for my service. You can go to Froetic Sexology, which is on the screen.com, froeticsexology.com, to learn more about my coaching program and other offerings. So if you would like to work with me, I'm more than happy to have you. I will say this one caveat: I only work with women and femmes. I do not work with men at this time, but if you reach out to me, I will direct you to someone who does. I'm more than happy to provide that. So we can head over to the next slide.
So Portia, This
Yeah.
is just me and my intuition. And if you have the time, I would love it. Can we devote just 10 minutes or so to just experiencing a full completion? I feel like there's still this energy in the space. But I'm mindful and respectful of your time. So do you have 10 minutes so that we can just complete? Because I feel it's incomplete. Not on your part, but just like the chat and just where we were at in the communication earlier and just some of the stuff that you shared that just further primed the pump for the conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you
So
for that, Shawnee. Thank you for leading with that. I appreciate that. And I have 10 or 15 minutes I can spend with
that's
you.
beautiful. And I bumped up against this. Well, not really bumped up against this because that sounds like some type of friction or whatever, but experienced this the other day. It's like folks want more. And, we have our Monday, Wednesday days and, it's 30 minutes. And so there's never enough time to unpack topics like this and other topics, but I definitely want to hear from some other folks. Um, and who wants to share? There were some comments in the chat that I found to be very intriguing. I think Rukia put something in that I would love to highlight. Rukia, are you willing to come off mute so that you can share verbally what you wrote in the chat? And
I'm always willing to share. I'm here.
yay. All right, so let me come off and remove my spotlight and we can spotlight you. All right, you can start, sis. Rukia.
Well, I'm not sure which thing I've been I've been kind of chatting away and
I'm looking at a comment that says masturbation works wonders for healing and self-exploration. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
yes. So I had some traumas, some sexual traumas in my past. And then I was in a relationship where we called it the deadbed syndrome, where we were not sexually active for, I would say it was about 2.5 to 3 years. And it was a 7-year relationship. And after that relationship ended, I went into first I went and got therapy because I was in multiple relationships that were very similar, where I was an enabler, where I was not exploring my own self-worth and it was all about them. And so I went to therapy, and in that, I don't even think the therapist recommended masturbation, but I was selling toys. I had a business called Adults Need Toys Too. And I was giving all of this information to other people, but I wasn't using it myself. And so I started to. And once I did, it was like, this is okay. And it's okay to feel good, because I had a whole mindset that I didn't even realize was happening, but I would not allow myself to orgasm. So when people say they couldn't orgasm, I wouldn't allow it. As soon as I felt like it was too pleasurable, I would stop it because it was uncomfortable for me. And that I learned that in my exploration, that came from the abuses and some of my sexual behaviors early on as a child. And so for me, feeling good created shame, created guilt. I didn't want to feel good. And so it was really about the other person feeling good for me. And that changed with masturbation. That changed with me addressing my own feelings and addressing why, and like really digging deep to get into the root.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. I personally think of masturbation very similarly to journaling. And in fact, I practice both of those things sometimes at the same time, because it not simultaneously, but one first and then the other, because it's an opportunity for me to reflect and really see what's going on with myself. And like you're sharing, is it Rukia?
It's Rukia, yes.
As you were sharing, your masturbation practice led you to uncover some truths about yourself that you would not have been able to do via partnered sex, because you would be focused on the other person and there would be other thoughts in your mind. But when you are able to spend time with yourself like that, you're able to only observe what's going on with you, and you will see what's actually happening. So thank you so much for sharing that. I understand.
No problem.
Self-pleasure is not for everyone, and it's not for all of us always. We're all on a journey that it is non-linear. So wherever you are, again, is fine. Meet yourself where you are. But if you are able to have that as a healing practice, do so, because there is only benefits if you are non-judgmental towards yourself. I do see that Amaduma has her hand raised. She had her hand up first, and then someone else raised their hand.
Teresa Scott.
Go to Amaduma.
Yeah.
Good morning again, everyone. I just wanted to say that masturbation has been observed in utero for both male and female fetuses.
Mm.
And I just wanted to say that because society has all these stigmas around masturbation. But biologically, if something feels good, if you find a spot in your body that feels good, you're going to go back to that spot. And that's, on the biological space. So I just wanted to put that in the chat.
Thank you for saying that, because that's a correction even to me. I always say we're sexual beings from the time we emerge from the womb, but it sounds like it's earlier than that even. So thank you so much for that. We can go to Teresa if you want to come off mute.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for this conversation. I've dealt with masturbation, but it was a lot of negative thoughts about it. Growing up about sex period was very negative. It wasn't really until this year that I got like a liberation. It's like I had sex, but the liberation of just, taking care of myself and getting rid of all the negativity, and actually like being exposed to different wake up programs about sex. It just gave me I had some kind of liberty, but really this year I got it like a liberty. And I I think I did it too much at one time, and now I really don't. It's like there's a times when I want to, but I don't really have the desire. So sometimes I feel like a little weird not wanting to, some days, but I just feel like I don't I don't know. I think it too because when I'm going through something, like a female problem, and so I don't know if that's is why it's being affected, but sometimes I wish that I could, but I don't like. I feel like when I do it, I just feel like I don't know. Like physically, it makes me feel it bothers me. So
I
I don't
understand.
know how.
I understand. I've definitely been there. Growing up in the church, I too
Yes.
of negative thoughts about masturbation, and as I was younger I would do it, and I would be battling myself in my mind about doing it, even though it felt good in my body. In my mind I had all these scriptures and all these thoughts and all these sermons flowing through that was just messing me up. And what I had to learn was, even in adulthood, I'm like, okay, what is me actually not wanting to self pleasure right now, and what is my shame showing up, right? What is the difference between I physically need to masturbate and I need to have a release, and what is me feeling pressured to do so because I feel like I have to be a sexual being. So what I would say to people who are having this battle, whether it is self-pleasure, whether it is partnered sex, if you are feeling that internal conflict, look for where the shame is. Look for where you begin to, what ideas and what thoughts are rooted in shame. Those are not yours. Those came from outside of yourself. So silence them and then listen to whatever is left that is positive, that is affirming, right? That's your voice. But if it is rooted in shame, like that is not your voice. I hope that's helpful to you or to anyone that's hearing it.
Yeah, Portia, thank you for that. This is so multi-layered, and like when I was in the space leading the other day, so much came up and out. But two things I will say about masturbation, and one of them I consider extremely funny. For some, it's a mix of sadness and funny at the same time. But one of the things that I learned, no one taught me, is that when I'm experiencing pleasure and I'm aroused, pain is diminished in my body. So if I have a toothache or a headache, or if I have a stuffy nose, if I'm aroused, and reach up until the time where the last remnants of the orgasm are dissipating, I don't feel those sensations of pain in my body. I'm like, whoa, if we could bottle this for pain relief, or create some way for it to be utilized in a therapeutic process around pain, like to keep the motion going. I'm like, oh, I can get stimulated and I can relieve my pain at the same time, because it only lasts for the time frame that I'm engaged in pleasuring myself or being pleasured by a partner. And so I was like, that is magical. I don't know if it happens for men. I just know it happens for me. And I'm assuming other women. The other piece is that I have been so indoctrinated with the shame that if I engage in self-pleasure, and I love that you called it a masturbation practice. When I engage in my masturbation practice, I'm like, oh, my daughter died. She can see me doing this shit. Oh my God. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I'm like, I'm being watched by my daughter. So I'm just like, it cracks me up, but then also there's a side of me that's like, this is not cool. I never thought about it with other members of the family that have passed, but with my child, I'm just like, yo, I know she's around me all the time and covering me, and damn, I don't want her to be exposed to this. But that's all indoctrination. This is the most natural thing. She don't give a damn, but in my mind, it's inappropriate.
So that's hilarious. And that's something I think about also. I think about the same things about like, how are my ancestors in here? Or have they decided to go like check on somebody else while I'm taking this moment? I'm not sure. But I think that they rejoice in our pleasure. You know, I think our ancestors are happy to see us feeling good, whatever that means for that. And just to know, I call it a masturbation practice because I pull out all the bells and whistles for myself. When I work with my coaching clients, I tell them, think about the most indulgent, juicy sexual fantasy you have with your partner, and then create that for yourself. I burn incense, I light candles, I wear lingerie, I do whatever I have to do to really, really make it a practice and an experience, right? The other thing I wanted to touch on that you said, Shawnee, was, oh man, I just lost it.
The medicinal aspect of.
Yes, the pain. A lot of women, particularly Black women, deal with PCOS, endometriosis, all of those things. Even when you are on your period, masturbation is possible, and it is great for period cramps. It is great for relieving stress. It's great for that foggy period brain that you get. So yes, you're absolutely right. And I believe it's the oxytocin, that hormone is what helps us to relieve pain, whether it be physical or like some sort of mental anxiety that we are dealing with. I don't want to leave Facebook out. If there are any comments, Charmaine, that are interesting happening over there, I'm sure they are, but looking at your face.
Yes, I'm cracking up. Oh my God, we all responded to Shawnee. But I want to read this one from Candace, Calendar Douglas. She said that, oh my gosh, that just going so fast. I haven't seen Facebook lit up like, wow.
Talk about sex.
So I found Bianca. Bianca says, I was never taught about masturbation, only seen it on TV or heard about it through other girls, which is another reason why I felt ashamed of it. Candice said, okay, not sure what transmutation is. So that's a question. She's not sure what transmutation is. Cynthia said, yes, I was thinking of my grandma. Coach Shawnee, yes, I always have those random weird thoughts. Candice Harper, LOL, I think my grandma is judging or applauding. I can't tell. Teresa Plaskett, she says, my father. I mentioned, I think about it as I have my mother's urn here with me. I'm like, oh my God, my mother's seeing me. In the name of Jesus, Lord, today. Yeah, there are a lot of Shawnee done stirred up the pot.
Yes.
A lot of juicy stuff.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. I'm not totally sure what transmutation is. I believe it is a practice where you turn your sexual release inward. Unfortunately, I'm not as well versed in articulating that. So if someone else knows, you can correct me or articulate it a little better. But I do see that Louise has a hand raised. So if you want to come off mute and share.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for this conversation. while we were talking about this and the relationship that this society has to its sex, I remember Joycelyn Elders, who was the Surgeon General, I think when Clinton was president. And I remember her talking about at some point she recommended that maybe masturbation could be taught, um, to the youth. I think she was talking about to the youth as in terms of a way of understanding their body and to have more positive view to its sex. And she had to resign, but yet, and this is no attack on any particular church, but yet we have rampant, sexual abuse of children in the Catholic Church, who are the most strict out there when it comes to sex. And it's not even men having consensual sex with grown women, it's abuse of children. So there's so much trauma in the society around sex. I'm just happy that in this time we're having these conversations and really working on healing ourselves first as adults. And hopefully we'll be able to continue to heal the generations to come. So thank you for this conversation. I'm complete.
Thank you so much, Louise. You're making an incredibly important point. The more sex negative or oppressive, sexually oppressive a culture is, the more deviant and the more harms that come from that, right? And I don't remember the Surgeon General's name, but I remember learning about her, and I don't know if she resigned or if she was fired, but she no longer had
Joycelyn Elders. Joycelyn Elders. They made her resign. He made her resign. I remember that.
Yeah, essentially, yes. Because simply because she suggested that maybe we should teach children about masturbation. Maybe we should teach them about self-pleasure and about their bodies, right? Because our culture is so sex negative that even something so natural puts you at risk for losing your job, right? And that is something that could heal a lot of people. And also, instead of abstinence only sex education, we could be including that into our curriculum, or at least into our household conversations, as a way to help children self-lead and young people self-lead and learn about their body, so that when they become adults and they're of age to give consent and they're of age to make those kinds of choices, they know what they're getting themselves into. I do see Adam has a hand raised. If you want to come off mute and share.
Hey, Portia.
Hi.
I apologize, Shawnee, for the distraction from earlier this morning. I just want to say that I'm really happy that we're having this discussion, because usually when most people learn about sex, they learn it from an outside source like the media or the internet, and those images are given. I mean, it's like a very negative image around sex, and then we sit here and wonder why a lot of our children can develop, because a lot of adults are not, telling their children about sex. I mean, they become very shaky and scared, and then the children end up learning the hard way, and they also learn through music video from it as well, especially men. So consequently, the men become over sexualized and overhyped just by seeing those images, and we wonder why we're having those problems.
Right, absolutely. You're making a really good point. I think that all of this discussion that we're having now, right, in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, et cetera, all the work that we're doing, a lot of it could be avoided if someone would have started off on the right foot with us. So it's important that we do this work now and do this unlearning and relearning again, so that we can talk to our 8-year-old family members, our 80-year-old family members, and help them begin to learn from a younger age and begin to heal themselves, so they know the difference between, okay, that's a sexual image, but it's not a sex positive image. So I'm going to avoid absorbing that music video or that weird book or that strange sexual situation in a TV show or in a movie. And I'm going to look to what I know is right, which is what's in here, what's internal, what's leading me in my spirit, and what I understand about myself and my own pleasure. Yes, all of this, I don't teach children, but all of this is very important, because starting from a young age just sets you up for so much more success. I'll tell you this, my mother did not talk to me about sex, but she did give me books, because she knew that I needed to learn, but I suspect her mother did not speak to her about sex, so she did not have the language to articulate to me what she knew I needed to know. But she gave me and my sister books, so I was able to learn, and that essentially led me where I am today. But if she had, I could have avoided a lot of weird stuff I ended up doing. So
Right.
Yeah, so Portia, we have one more share from John, and then we can move to wrap up. Thank you for your generosity. We are 20 minutes beyond the time that you intended, but just, the community has spoken, literally and figuratively. So John, if you could share, and then we're going to move back into the slides so we can close out and complete this experience.
Thank you. Thank you. And good morning, everybody. I just wanted to share that for me, I did not learn about sex growing up either, in a positive way, so to speak. But in the society, neighborhood, in the island where I grew up, sex was like, it was like about points. How many points can you score with all the women that you had? And it was more about, you have sex with this one, you move on to the next one. It was never really about the love or intimacy, and it wasn't about relationship. It was just about points. And I that never really sit well with me. I didn't have my first sexual experience until I was about 17. And not that I didn't have opportunities before, but I didn't know what to do. And the guys bragged about it as like, I did this, I did that, and you do this and you do that. But it was never really in a positive sense. So I never felt good about having sex. And then I developed the mindset that sex was like an exercise. Like you go work out, you're not taking nothing off or putting anything on it. You're just having sex for the fun of it. And then you keep moving.
Yes, this could be a whole 2-hour discussion just about that concept, particularly for men, around sex as a way to build yourself up. And I think the discussion yesterday was very similar. The little bit that I caught with the 4 gentlemen that were on talking about sex and intimacy, it was a lot of like, you do this to get a notch on your belt. You do this as a way to make yourself feel good. I think the man that was on yesterday called it's a way you win, essentially, for men, instead of actually making it about what it is truly about, which is about learning about yourself, learning about the universe that we exist in through sex, and also sharing a moment with whoever you choose to be intimate with, right? Thank you so much for sharing, John.
You're welcome.
I'm feeling complete. Shawnee, do you feel good? Okay.
Absolutely. My climax.
You know what? I feel the same.
Awesome. All right. So, Daija, can you put the slides back up, and then we can move through them so that we can complete the session?
Okay. All right. So as I mentioned, offering a discount for you all for the next week. You can email me at the email address that is listed here, hello@froeticsexology.com. You can find me on Facebook at Froetic Sexology, Instagram at Free Froetic. And if you have any questions or anything comes up, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to chat. We can move to the next slide, which I think is one of the last ones. Yes, so for tomorrow, join us again with Michael Elam from Shame to Shaman. Tomorrow is Thursday, January 25th, 2021. I'm sure it will be another lively discussion. You all are so magical that it has no choice but to be a lively discussion. Next slide, please.
So the Zoom schedule. So today, technically, was supposed to be a 30-minute day, but we rocked it. We did what we needed to do. So Mondays and Wednesdays are the 7 to 7:30 offering, an appetizer, not a full meal. But let me stop saying that. Like we got a full meal today and this week, just in general, like a smorgasbord of just opportunities to explore and investigate our relationships with sex, intimacy, and sensuality and sexuality. It's been a beautiful journey. On Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, we work from 7 to 8:30. I'm sorry, I just had to mute someone. in the space. And so just inviting you to set your alarms, and also community to invite others to join us. We don't want to be stingy with this experience. And so just creating a space for us not to get so comfortable, like I'm here, that we stop inviting and engaging others in the possibility of their awakening, their transformation, their ascension, because that's what this community is built for. So please do continue to join us, and please do invite others in your circle to join us as well, and to come and stay. Like, we'll have these days where everybody is coming out and inviting, and then we go back to a space of the regulars. We want to make sure that we continue to grow. So stay in touch. There are a variety of ways to do that. But once again, I say this all the time, we are in touch vibrationally and energetically. I've never been in actual space with Louise or Teresa Scott and other members of this community, but I feel so connected to all of you, and I love all of you, and we love one another, and we build with one another. So stay in touch literally by registering to be a part of this Wake Up community weekly and experiencing the sessions that we present to you. So bit.ly/wake up movement is the way to register and to get the email blasts about what we're doing week by week. We have a Facebook community. And once again, like I asked on Monday, please post separately, not just in the thread under the video, but separately in the community about your experience of yesterday and Mika and the brothers that came into the space. And then also post separately about this conversation with Portia and what came up for you. A lot of awesome stuff came out of the sessions this week. If you were a part of the belly dance experience, post separately about that, and then we'll respond to your post. I tag people. Like, let's keep the conversations alive in our community. You know, we're neighbors in Facebook, so let's make sure that we're neighborly and that we're sharing and growing together. Instagram at Wake Up Everybody Virtual, YouTube bit.ly/woo on YouTube, and then email info.wakeupseries@gmail.com. And if you are willing, go on Facebook now, into the page, post, and then we'll see the post and we'll accept the post and put it in the space, and then folks will start sharing about it if you have the space to do so. Now, as we customarily do, and this is a love practice. I love what Portia said. This is a wake up love practice that we pour into the facilitator and the admin team by unmuting and just sharing affirmation, applause, any type of ululate, if you know what that is. It's like I don't even know how to describe it, but and I can't do it right now. It's too early in the morning, but if you know what I mean, you do that. So that we can celebrate Portia and this process in great and powerful form. So please unmute, family, and let's do this.
Thank you so
Portia.
much,
Portia, this
Portia. You're so
was good
awesome.
conversation.
Thank you, Portia.
So
Alice,
Thank you so much,
Portia,
Thank you for what
Johnny,
you did.
let's
Awesome
move
to
forward,
know.
Thank you
everybody.
so much for this
And
conversation.
definitely for us to be
thank
able
you.
to
Manifestation in a
This is
our
beautiful
families,
miraculous.
our
Portia.
children,
Thank you,
definitely
thank you,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you for being
thank
your
you for
beautiful self.
explaining this
Stepping out on this.
negative society that
Looking
we
forward to
Know you
having
get a
you
lot of
back
criticism,
Thanks,
but
Portia.
and
Thanks,
we'll keep
getting
Shawnee.
more
And
persevering.
let's
evidence.
move
Thank
forward,
you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
thank you for
Thank you.
sharing
And
it
everyone.
all
Have a
with
Shawnee
us
is
great
just
day.
saying that
without
he has
any
your
form of
orgasm
pleasure.
this morning. She's
Vibrating
glowing.
high.
Thank you, everybody, and the admin team. Whoop, whoop. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Great day, everybody.
Wonderful.